The story of Lot. Who was Lot, Abraham's nephew? Lot, the nephew of the patriarch Abraham, is primarily known in the Bible for his connection to the city of Sodom. This city was destroyed by God due to its extreme wickedness. Lot's story was marked by three significant events that resulted in devastating consequences. The first event is related to Lot's choice to settle in the city of Sodom, known for its immorality and sin. The second event was the disobedience of Lot's wife, which led to a tragic and symbolic fate, turning her into a pillar of salt. The third occurred after the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, when Lot engaged in a disturbing relationship with his daughters, leading to descendants who would leave a mark on history. In this video, you will discover everything the Bible says about who Lot was, Abraham's nephew. Lot's life is explored from his journey of faith, following in the footsteps of his uncle Abraham, to his tragic fate. This study highlights the essential points of Lot's story. Please subscribe and leave your like, and let's start the video. The exact origin and meaning of the name Lot are uncertain. However, many interpreters believe that the name Lot may have a Hebrew origin, meaning a covering, veil, or mantle. The Bible does not detail the circumstances of Haran's death, Lot's father. It is only known that Haran, being the son of Terah and the younger brother of Abraham, died prematurely. This sad event occurred in Ur before Abraham and his family moved to the city of Haran, where they stayed for a while before Abraham set out for Canaan. It is essential to note that the name Haran, belonging to Lot's father, Abraham's nephew, should not be confused with the name of the city Haran, located in Mesopotamia. Haran, Lot's father, also had two sisters, Milcah and Iscah, as per Genesis chapter 11, verse 31. Lot accompanied his grandfather Terah, his uncle Abraham, and Sarai to Haran and later to Canaan. Facing famine in Canaan, they moved to Egypt, returning later to Canaan, where the prosperity of Abraham and Lot caused conflicts between their shepherds. The biblical text says that Abram left Egypt with his wife and all his possessions, heading south to Canaan, and his nephew Lot followed him. Abram had great wealth, including livestock, silver, and gold. He traveled from place to place until he reached Bethel, and from there to the region between Bethel and Ai, where he had previously camped. There, Abram worshipped the Lord at the altar he had built. Lot, who traveled with Abram, also brought with him sheep, goats, cattle, servants, and his family. The pasture was not sufficient for both, due to the large number of animals they owned. This led to conflicts between Abram's shepherds and Lot's, while the Canaanites and Perizzites still inhabited that land. At one point, Abram proposed to Lot, "Let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left." Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan toward Zoar was well watered, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out toward the east. The two men parted company. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against the Lord. According to Genesis chapter 13, verses 1 to 12. Lot, Abraham's nephew, integrated into Sodom's society, possibly reaching a prominent position, as evidenced by his presence at the city gates, where legal matters were resolved. The Bible describes the inhabitants of Sodom as extremely wicked and sinful. Lot, despite being distressed by the depravity of the city, remained there. During a war, Lot was captured, but Abraham rescued him. However, Lot returned to Sodom, where he and his family were saved by angels before the city's destruction. The Bible recounts that the two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning." "No," they answered, "we will spend the night in the square." But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them." Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, "No, my friends. Don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." But the men of Sodom were insistent, and they threatened Lot, saying they would do worse to him than to the visitors. At that moment, the angels intervened, pulling Lot back inside and blinding the attackers, who could no longer find the door. The angels then revealed to Lot that they would destroy the city because of its wickedness and instructed him to gather his family to flee. Lot hesitated, but the angels, out of compassion, led him out of the city with his wife and daughters. Flee for your lives. Don't look back, and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away. However, Lot pleaded to escape to a small town nearby, and the angel agreed, sparing the town that Lot called Zor. By dawn, as Lot reached Zor, the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah, destroying those cities and the entire plain, including all those living in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. The transformation of Lot's wife into a pillar of salt is often interpreted as a symbol of disobedience and lack of faith. She looked back, perhaps with nostalgia or reluctance to leave her previous life, despite the clear instructions from the angels not to do so. This act is seen as a deliberate choice to ignore the divine warning, resulting in her punishment. Abraham, when he saw the smoke rising from the land, knew that the cities had been destroyed. God remembered Abraham and saved Lot, who had lived in the now destroyed cities. According to Genesis chapter 19, verses 1 to 29. Fearing to stay in the region, Lot and his daughters took refuge in a cave. In an act of desperation, Lot's daughters got him drunk and had relations with him, resulting in the birth of Moab and Ben-Ammi, ancestors of the Moabites and Ammonites, peoples who would later cause trouble for the Israelites. The incident involving Lot's daughters is marked by a series of actions that are condemned by biblical ethics and morality. The 3 main points of the incident involving Lot's daughters are: incest. The Bible prohibits sexual relations between family members, considering them a grave sin that compromises morality and spirituality. Deception. Lot's daughters got him drunk to carry out their plans without his consent, showing manipulation and premeditation. Desperation. Fearing they were the last humans and wanting to preserve their lineage, Lot's daughters acted drastically, demonstrating panic and lack of faith. Lot, despite having had the opportunity to learn from Abraham, did not follow the path of faith. His choice of Sodom and the resulting consequences demonstrate the pitfalls of temptation and the destructive effects of sin. Lot's story is a testimony that salvation is an act of divine grace, not achieved by human merit. Besides Genesis, Lot is briefly mentioned in the Bible, mainly in reference to his descendants. In the New Testament, Jesus mentions him in an eschatological context, and the Apostle Peter refers to the destruction of Sodom. Lot's life is a complex story of choices, consequences, and God's grace. Despite his flaws and tragic end, Lot serves as an example of God's mercy and liberating power. Thank you for watching. I hope this video has been uplifting for you. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss any content. Additionally, I suggest watching the video about the story of Terah, Lot's idolatrous grandfather, to gain a better understanding of the context of Lot's life and his relationship with his uncle Abraham. See you next time.